Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Breakdown with Tanya and Johanna.
Hey.
You know, it's funny when we were chit-chatting before we even got on here, I just realized we were supposed to go live. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not prepared. I was chit-chatting and in the zone with Johanna.
Welcome to our world.
Solely into our world. So, guys, this is just us this week. We wanted to be able to do a breather episode each month where we don't have a guest on and we just talk about things that, we want to bring up. And it's funny when we brought up this topic, what we want to do was a couple of weeks ago that I think we said, let's do a topic on friendships. Because constantly I would state that Johanna and I are always talking to some aspect going, man, it would be so nice to like if others could really feel like they have a space like how our friendship is, where we feel like we can just breathe and talk to each other and have that kind of support. And or do others have this? And we constantly are bringing that up. And, I thought it was time. Let's do an episode. Let's talk about friendship, the importance of friendship, what it can do for people. And I think there's no better time, especially now in this world with everything going on with relationships and people dealing with one another, that this is a really important episode, which is in regards to friendship. I think is just perfect timing that we're talking about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the time to be open and aware of not only your surroundings, but how you're feeling and how others are feeling, and being accepting of people and what you don't accept, and setting, healthy boundaries. This is all about it. This is about having that space and utilizing that. But one of the things that I know that I wanted to talk about in this episode are the different types of friends that we all have, because I don't know about you, but I definitely do see a pattern on the different types of friends, especially when I've seen some articles where it's like, do you have that friend that, is the person that cheers you on, is your inspirational friend? Or do you have that person who knows you since, you were a little child and you've grown up with them, but like, you're not quite, you just kind of family. You're not really that close to people. Like, do you have those kind of relationships too, Johanna? Or
I used to.
Yeah.
I have maybe who I would consider a real friend. It's less than 5 people. It's seriously, it's probably 2.
My sister always used to say that if you had, a hand full of friends, then you consider yourself lucky, because that's really only the amount of time that you can put into people anyway, to be honest, because there is the point of making and spreading yourself too thin with too many people. I can tell you for one of the things that I had a habit of doing was, I was known for having a lot of friends. But the truth of the matter is I didn't have a lot of friends. It just looked like that. Right. It just looked like I had a lot of friends because I had a lot of surface relationships, because I'm an introvert. So I like to keep to myself. And it was really hard for me to have those really intimate friendships. And I was lucky I had, a handful. And I can say those are the ones that I've cherished the most. And I always find it interesting too that, you change. As you grow, your friendships change too. But how many of us are also sitting in that aspect of like, when we're going through change or growing, where we're wondering to ourselves, and I have to do this too, is what are you telling yourself if there's somebody that you want to hang out with, or there's times where you get called, that call where someone says, hey, you want to go hang out? And you're like, yeah, that would be great. And then you're like, hopefully, and like you're thinking like of every excuse not to hang out with that person, what you can come up with, what excuse can it be? And then, or something happens to the level of somebody like cancels, and then you're as happy as can be. That's me. Tenfold. I can't tell you when people cancel on me, I am so ecstatic, but I will tell you this much, and I'm kind of putting my secret out here. My friends who know me the best laugh about it because they accept me for that. They just know that that's the way I'm going to be. Hey, Vicky. Hello.
Hi, Vicky. Thank you. I used to have a ton of friends, but we were all in the same group. So when we did activities, we kind of all did them together. But even then, like even within that group, there was still only probably one, maybe two people that I would consider my ride or die. You know, the ones who were the ones I could always call on and be like, "Hey, let's get in the truck, let's go on a wild, crazy road trip right now and just do it." And or those kind of spontaneous things. But I am a social butterfly. I love being out with people, and so I have a lot of surface friends. And if you look at my Facebook profile, I'm close to almost 5,000. Probably don't know most of them, but it's that whole thing. When it comes down to it, though, the true people that know all of me, you know what I mean, and that have my back is probably about two people.
Yeah. And I think it's important at least to have that much. I mean, for those who don't feel like they have that, or if they're with people that they're not happy with, and they're wondering and questioning why they're friends with them, then let me tell you, that's usually your gut saying, why are you friends with them?
Right.
Why don't you want to hang out with them? And, sometimes I have to ask myself too, the excuses of why I don't want to hang out with somebody, or it's not fun, or why this. Then I'm like, why would I want to hang out with someone if I don't want to do that? Why would I think that? Now, I used to have a lot of the good girl mentality because I like to make people happy.
Right.
So I do that 24/7 is I'll, be hanging out with people because I like to make people happy. But it's so nice to have, I'm, especially with everything going on in the world. And, one of the things I know, especially with the change with COVID, what it was happening with changing the dynamic of friendships, because definitely friendships, the dynamic of it changed because, you can't get together, you can't hang out with each other. And then all of a sudden it's like you're having Zoom dates and you're having phone calls. And the only thing I kept thinking was, I was getting inundated with these Zoom dates. Like it was all of a sudden, like, because everybody, all of a sudden gave an excuse. It became socially.
I haven't had one Zoom date,
which is crazy to me. And I'm like, no, that's not true. You and I did have a Zoom date. We did. Yes,
we had a
did.
FaceTime.
Oh, FaceTime. Yes. Well,
yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. You're the only one.
Thing. I'm like, yes, we did.
Like all these people are like, oh, that Zoom date and this. I'm like, cool. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't have any of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm in a new town, and I mean, what are the chances of me moving to a new town, the dead of winter, can't meet people, and then all of a sudden I can't leave the house and I'm in quarantine. So how the hell am I supposed to meet people out here?
You're not meant to.
No. So, I just have to accept that I'm not meant to do it at this time. And, I got to do what I got to do. So that's what it is. It's not like I'm the kind of person that's going to be like, let's go ahead and, meet somebody. Like, who am I going to meet? I did meet a lot of people online,
right?
Who are in the neighborhood going through the same thing because I'm looking for references like, a fence person and stuff like that.
So when you started going through your awakening, did you purge friends?
I did. So it wasn't so much. Here's the thing. It's like I not only purged friends, but I put boundaries up because I had a lot of friendships where they're like family to me. I am in a really weird dynamic too, where my friends kind of are my family, and that's happens. Sometimes my friends are more family to me than my family, so those aspects. Yes. So I was very private with what was going on with me because I didn't know what was going on or what was happening. So I had a lot of inner turmoil on there. So what happened is I ended up shutting down, meaning that I slowly was weaning away from people. And just getting into new things, opening new doors and meeting new people. But what I found really weird is when I was going through it, is that it was easier for me to talk to strangers than it was to some of my close friends at the time, because I didn't have any judgments. I didn't have, anybody going through there. I don't know. Did you feel that way too?
There was no preconceived notion of who you were before you went through your process.
Yeah.
When I started going through, well, See, I was going through my awakening for 3 years before I realized that that's what it was, right? But
Yeah.
I remember before I left San Diego, 7 years ago now, um, right, that 6 months before I moved, maybe even more than that, I started changing my friendships. I started spending less time with certain people and moving more time with other people. And then I had two really, really close best friends, one that was over 20-year relationship or about 20 years, and one that was about 5 years in. And they were seriously my ride or dies. But unfortunately, they both kind of went into one is a long story, and that friendship was long overdue. It's so one-sided. You have those friends, right, where they call you, and for the first 20 minutes it's blah, 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 all my problems, my problems, my
Vomit.
problems. How are you? I'm good. All right, well, I gotta go now. And that's what was happening to me, and I was like, this is bullshit. Like, so I stopped taking calls and I started weaning down.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't playing the game anymore. And so in 2015, I lost the one that was, I killed it. And then a couple of years later, the other one went. And it was mainly because on the second one, she was so uncomfortable with what I was going through and
Yeah.
didn't know how to handle it, even though I was still the same person. I just now had these other things that were happening in my life and these other abilities. And she just didn't understand. And so she didn't accept who I was. And I wasn't going to change anymore to fit in her box.
Yeah.
So they had to go away. And I haven't really found my core group since then. And I'm okay with that, because when you go through the awakening, you go through a period where it's lonely for a little while because you have to be in your own vibration, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I have never, and it's weird to hear your perspective of that because I've never really had that, because I've always felt connected to someone, because I could see, it's weird. I could be in a room full of friends, family, loved ones, and feel really alone. And
Me too.
like, it's bizarre. And it's like, I'm like, I don't understand. I got people that love me, and I know I got people that care about me. I have people that accept me, but I can feel that. And what I have found is that the friends that accept that I feel this way or know me that well, those are the ones that actually push me out of my comfort zone a lot, because it's not that they're trying to change it. They it's, they're not going to, complain if I'm not going out with them. They're not going to complain if I'm quiet at a party. They're just, they make me feel normal. So that is something I've always appreciative of those people. Where there's the fine line that I find with friendships is that we're the ones who they want to fix something, or they think something is wrong, or that aspect. So that can be a little bit uncomfortable, because, they're trying, and there's, I can't express it. I don't know how to do it there. It's one thing, it's hard, especially with anxiety and depression. If you battle with that, for those of you who battle with it, it's hard to have that aspect, or if you need to feel like you fill in time by talking. And that's something that I do. I fill in time a lot by talking if I get really there. So what I'm getting at is, it's really interesting to see your perspective with friendships where you're okay with it. Like, it's like, okay, well, I don't really have a core thing of friends, because I know I have people around me. I know I have people around me on there, but I choose a lot of times not to hang out with them. And that's like the difference. And I don't know. I don't know.
I would love to have physical friends. Like,
Yeah.
for me, I consider you one of my ride or dies, right? But you live a fucking shitload a long ways.
And I moved further.
There's no bike ride, and I would literally have to plane ride and then a car ride. It's not like I can be like, I need you to come over here. We need to drink it out right now. It's not something that I can do. And that's what I miss. I miss having a physical person that I can be like, I don't even have to talk to them. That's how one of my friendships used to be, where you could just literally show up at their house and lay on their couch and just be like, I'm here, leave me alone. I just need to be here with you. We don't need to talk about it. We can laugh about it later, but right now I just need to be here, and I don't have that. And so I know I will, but you have to, there's the resorting. And so I've just gotten used to it. And I'll tell you, I feel like you were talking about, I have felt more lonely surrounded by people who didn't, like, acknowledge me, or where I felt uncomfortable, because that's really what it is. It's you feeling uncomfortable and out of place in that environment, and that gets reflected back to you. But that's where I'm like, I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who don't get me.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense to me. And just for those of you who are new to our channel or new to Johanna and I, just so you know about our friendship, we did not live near each other at all. We met online on social media. She just I was going through my awakening and I was early in my stages, and I found her on social media on Facebook, and I started watching her, and I was intrigued with how she was evolving, because Johanna has changed from like evolved.
I hit the accelerator. I went the
Like
hyperspeed.
evolved. And one of the things that I loved about, her was how she just kind of jumped into something. If she started something new, she would start, to the point, or if something didn't work out for her, she scratch it out and do it. And I really enjoyed that about her. And she had readings, and I decided to jump in and get a reading with her. And that's one of the things I like to connect as a connector is to, I enjoy readings. So I remember vaguely our reading, but I remember out of that, I just like talking to you. Outside of that, if someone asked me how I met Johanna, I don't know. I feel like Johanna's been part of my life since I don't even know how to say it. We've definitely had lives together before. Like I can't even describe it. I'm like, I don't know. Johanna's just been part of my life. I don't know.
It's just one of those people that they come in and they just fit, and you're like, oh, she's been there the whole time. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean we just met, or we've only been friends for how long? You just don't, you just forget.
So, I mean, and so you had I was doing a healing course with you, and that really, was profound. And then you had a group that we were talking about our clair senses and stuff like that. And I met some really cool women out of that group. And then it just kind of exploded. Like all of a sudden it was like you and I were buddies, and it was like, let's just talk about other stuff. And it was natural. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of friendship that's so appreciative. And I had to tell this to Johanna. I think I told you this last month, how lucky it is that I consider myself very lucky, because there are very close friendships that I've had that I could be myself, do anything around, and they accept me, they know me, and it's always been that. Can't say it's always been, rainbows and butterflies, but it's so amazing to have that kind of person where you can just talk and be yourself. And one of those close friends, I lost, and a really young age, and it devastated me. And I never thought in any aspect, because you never replace anybody or have that. But what I was telling Johanna, what was so nice is that I'm so blessed that I've had relationships, not just outside of you, but another close friend. I have another girlfriend who's like a sister to me as well. But I'm so blessed that I have people in my life more than once come in when I need them the most. It always happens that way. And, I consider myself blessed on that. I know not everybody gets that experience, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be able to, I don't know, call somebody, talk to somebody, and then, not feel like you have to call them back, or feel like you have to filter yourself, feel like you don't have to.
I mean, you guys, let me just tell you, if there's probably one person, there's probably two people in the world, and right now it'd be only one, and it's Tanya, because the other one isn't around anymore, but that know like everything. Like I don't filter at all. Like she knows every deep, dark secret I carry at any time. She knows it.
I'm her shovel buddy.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, you guys, I have to say this because this is the one memory that I always come back and laugh about. I remember we were talking over audio or something over Messenger, and I was getting in the bathtub, and it was the hottest bath I've ever been in, and I burnt my hoo-ha. I swear to you.
I remember this.
We were in the middle of a conversation. I'm like, Tanya, I think I just burned my hoo-ha. It's like when you can do that and you can just be like blunt as hell, and the other person just laughs because they know, that's like, you can't replace that. You just can't.
It's hard to have friendships like that, or the aspect where you can just be yourself or do silly stuff. Outside of like, maybe I would be that way with certain family members, but the other thing that's really cool is you know, and I don't know how you have this too with family, but like my brother is one of my best friends, you know, Kai, and you guys have heard me talk about him before. We do Comic Cons together. You know, we have a really cool friendship. I can't even imagine like with it because he's like the funniest guy I know. But it's so many aspects where your friends and your family kind of meld into one, and that's where I was getting to at too, is that, you know, I'm sure people are out there also have family members that are like their friends too. So you know, that's another cool thing on there. What else? What other kind of friends have you ran into in your life?
Well, there's the friends that see it gets tricky when you start going when you go into the healing work of helping people with their problems. You develop friends who want to pick your brain, who want
Oh yeah.
you get the friends that they're like you're friends, but then you really only hear from them when they're going through a major meltdown and when you're like when they're not and you're like, hey, let's hang out. They're like, oh, I'm busy. But then when the meltdown comes around, they're like, oh my God, so this has happened. What do you think? And it's like, no, you know, so you get those friends. That was fun. I went through that for a while. You know, it's just, and it's the
Yeah.
same thing. It's boundaries because you get sick of it. In the beginning, you're like, of course you would do anything for your friend. If my friend asked for my opinion or for help and I can do it, I will do it. But at a certain point, you get sick of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
sick of people wanting from you.
I have another weird realm too. I have a lot of online friends because I'm a gamer. So my gamer community is like my family. So, you know, I'm living, you know, here in Michigan with some of my gamer family. So I can't really go wrong on this list. But these are, you know, like this is where I was getting the aspect too, is like the other thing that's interesting about gaming and, you know, talking about the online community, meeting different people, is one of the things I really liked is that you could share that point, you could be honest with each other, but you also could turn off a friendship into and not have to commit to everything 24/7, right? One
Right.
of my favorite things, and that's why I said I had a lot of surface level friends, what worked for me is when I had enough of gaming or I had enough of stuff, I just signed off. It was simple as that. It was easy for me. And
Yeah.
it was very accepting. And most people be like, Tanya, that's so cold. I'd be like, no, this is how the community was. We came to game, we came to do something, we came together, we united, and the game is done.
Yeah. And over
and
now. Thank you.
and over and out, and it was done. And that's one of the things that I enjoyed. But when you have the longevity of friendships and when things have changed, when I started meeting online friends that were outside of the gaming world, it was completely a different aspect too. I found that I was connecting in different ways that, you know, all of a sudden you don't have the game anymore. Now you're talking about different topics. What
Right.
lights you up? What, you know, what are your experiences? What are people going through? You know, I have a friend, man, every time we get together, it's like, I don't know if you ever run into this. It's like, it's memory lane. Like all you talk about are the memories that you have. But then when you
Oh,
think
yes.
about, when you sit down and you like try to talk about anything that's like current, it's like, yeah, let's go back to the memories because it's like you're living in this loop. Have you ever run
Right.
into that? I got to know if anyone's run into this because this happens quite a few times with some of my old school friends where it's like, hey, remember when this happened? Or, oh man, wasn't that a really cool time when, you know, and then it's those aspects that it's fun to live in that. But when you think about the relationship, you're like, I think I'm just living back in 1996 over and over and over again with this person.
Well, I think sometimes people like they don't want to let go or lose the friendship, so they hold on to the memories and constantly relive them because in the current moment, like I mean, you probably have nothing in common anymore. You know, one of you grew or you both grew in other directions. But you look back and you're so fond of the memories and the fun that you had and the joy, and you just want to relive that, and so you just keep rehashing it. But if you can't, I mean, it's just like my family. Like, you know, I love them, but we don't really talk. And when we do, you know, we could go 6 months and we get on the phone for 5 minutes and the conversation's done. You know, it's like, what you been doing? Working? Blah, blah. Oh, okay. How about you? Yep, same. All right. Well, it's good talking to
Yeah.
you. Bye. You know, I mean, it's not long. So I don't know. If you don't have similar interests, you know, or things to discuss about your life, then I mean, it is what it is.
What about, because you used to be in corporate world. Did you
Mhm.
used to keep your coworker friends separate from your other friends, or did you
Yeah,
mix? Yeah, I
no.
did too.
And not because of one thing or another. It's just like, I don't know. I just never felt like these people are going to be lifelong people, you know? I just never did. I just was
Yeah.
like, you're my work friends. Like we would have big, I always worked in corporate sales. So we'd have, we'd have happy hours and things like that. So it was social and fun. And then I'd be like, peace out. I'm going to go hang out with my real friends. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I used to always get in the aspect of like, guys, I spend 40 hours a week with you. Why would I want to spend additional hours? No, I would say that I do have some close work friends who have definitely, like I think that when we would hang out or more hang out is either when somebody left that facility or we left that job where it was like all of a sudden it was like, you didn't see each other every day, so it seemed cool to hang out. But every once in a while, I used to hang out, or we used to
When
do
I
happy hours.
when I first moved here and I got a job in real estate and I made friends with a real estate agent
Mhm.
who worked in the office that I worked in. And her and I actually became really good physical friends. But when I left in 2015, when I left corporate, our friendship literally started to dwindle. And that was pretty much it. If we weren't in each other's energy
Oh yeah,
circle, it just kind of
yeah,
drifted away. And we'd come back every now and then, but then it really drifted apart. And so that was probably the only time that I actually was like, I want to be friends with you at work and outside of work. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And that
yeah,
was one person, it doesn't happen very often.
yeah. I like the friendships too, where you don't see each other for a long period of time, and it feels like you just picked up from yesterday. Those
Yeah,
are awesome.
it is.
I like those are so amazing. Where it's just that level of like all of a sudden you're like you can just pick it up and it doesn't really feel like anything different. Like it just is like
Right.
this is where we are and fill me in on your life. I just had a really good one, and I'm gonna call him out because it's funny. So I have a lot more guy friends than I do girlfriends, and just that it's just the way it is. It's always been with me. But one of my close friends and his wife, Nick and Julia, who I haven't seen in, God knows when. We've known each other since my college years, right? We didn't see each other or talk to each other really for years. And it's not that anything went wrong with the friendship. It was just that, they were in like upper New York at that point and I was in New Jersey, and it just, time and space kind of goes in
Right.
there in that level. But when I was going through my divorce and my whole awakening stuff, I reached out to them, and they had said, hey, it'd be kind of cool to connect. And let me tell you, they drove all the way out to come see me in New Jersey before I left to Michigan, and it was so awesome because we haven't seen each other in so long, and I thought maybe this is going to be a little bit awkward.
Right.
But it wasn't. It was like all of a sudden we had a lifetime of stuff to talk about, and it wasn't enough time. But the funny part is when they moved the same time I moved. They're up in a different area now than New York. But I when I moved to Michigan, they were going through a whole move too. And when we had gotten on for our Zoom date, Nick had said to me, "Yo, I want to keep this short." Because he and I are like the same person, like in that level where it's like, listen, we don't want to be chit chatting all the freaking night. Like, this like let's just like hey hang out and then we're good to go.
Right.
And the funny part is after the 45 minutes that him and I entailed, as which was acceptable, his wife wanted to keep going, and we're like, nah,
This is the
we're done.
acceptable time. You're done.
We're
No
done.
more.
And I wanted to say it was the best feeling in the world because we were laughing, and I was like, listen, we just we don't have to like not talk to each other for months. Like, let's just talk to each other a little bit more often. Now, of course, now a month has gone by. We haven't talked to each other often. But this is the kind of friendship that I adore, is the ones where you're just like, no, we made it an exception. This is the exception that we made. And and I just remember his wife was like, what the heck? We could have kept talking. You guys didn't have to just sign off. We totally did. We were like, oh, our time's up.
Right. So what about, you mentioned your divorce. So, it's no secret I've been married 3 times.
Yeah.
So what, when you leave a relationship, whether it's a marriage or just a relationship that you've had, have you had to shed friends, and have they had to go through that whole, gotta pick a side?
Yeah, so this was really awkward, and I'm sure I can bring this up. Ryan would be all right with it. So we had a lot of mutual friends, and it was this really awkward thing of like, who do we tell? How do we go through this thing? So we did the split thing of like not telling. Now we didn't publicly tell people or announce it because it's like, we didn't know how to even go about that, and we were still processing that. But one of the weird things that happened with us was there were certain people we just forgot. We like totally forgot to tell. So like I was getting like Christmas cards with like asking how Brian was doing and stuff like that. I'd be like, "Ooh, this is really awkward." Or someone would, ask about him, and it was like those aspects. So we did run into a couple of those ones. But I can tell you this much, both of our group are mutual friends. Not that I hung out with his friends a lot anyway, but everyone's been respectful, and it's not like all of a sudden it was like, we're not friends with you, I'm gonna have to take you off Facebook or this like
right.
that. We didn't really have to go through that. We went through that with each other. We took each other off because we needed that space. But I can tell you this much, I am closer friends now with my ex than I was married to him, because we're not feeling any kind of anxiety with each other, or
there's no expectations.
So it's just kind of this nice friendship now, which is what we used to have, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And we can look at a broader picture of going, well, at least we don't have to worry about each other's issues, and it's not our issue, right? Because we were not owning our own shit, which was our problem. So we both grew from that. And I would say a lot of friendships grew from that. And hell yeah. I mean, I would think, and I can't speak for him, but I think he got better friendships out of that because it really showed him who his friends were when he was going through that.
Right.
Definitely for me, it definitely showed that for me because I had to ask for help. And that was something I never did with my friends, especially when I had to, move out of my house and I didn't have anyone to help me, remodel or anything like that. I had to flat out ask my friends for help.
Right.
And I was blown away with the help that I got. I mean, there was people coming out of the woodworks that I did not expect to show up at my house, and they did. So yeah, it is really awesome. So, and that's the other thing that puts a perspective when the shit hits the fan, who's there by your side? Because I will be honest, I'm surprised sometimes or shocked with the people that are by your side who you might not be giving the attention that you would never expect to, or that.
I haven't experienced that.
So yeah, I have.
See, with me, I always had, I would say up until, even in my 20s, I had more guy friends like you than women. Women have always been intimidated by me. And so it takes a really strong woman to be like my ride or die, because they have to be secure with themselves. You know what I mean? And so I've always had more guy friends than anything. But yeah, when I went through my second divorce, I had a lot of support, and I won the friends. That was pretty much how that went down in the second one. But this one, this one that I'm going through right now, this one's done differently. We posted publicly, and we've gone out to lunch since then, and it's just like I told people, don't be awkward when you see us together, because I think we're going to be just the way you and yours were. We're going to be really, really good friends, and so there's no need for that anymore. Things have just changed so much in the world that there's just no need for nastiness.
Yeah.
If you can help it. You can't always help it.
Yeah. I can't say we were as great with each other during the process as you guys are right now. I mean, you guys are definitely being more in that level of communicating with each other. We had that blockage going on. We were very hurt. We were both playing very much, victim in that level. So we're aware of it, and it took time. I mean, it took I would say over a year for us to like really start, being able to express ourselves in that level. Some friendships take that way. I mean, I had another friendship where, when I was going through my whole awakening, this person was going through stuff, themselves, and they could not, they were having a hard time processing of wanting me to be there for them, and I couldn't, and they wanted to also share, meaning they wanted me to share with them with what was going on in my world, and I couldn't. And it wasn't because I didn't want to, it was because I didn't know how to relate to this individual and I didn't feel comfortable to
Right.
expressing. And they took it really hard. I mean, they took it really hard that they weren't that person that I confided into and stuff like that. And that was not something at that time. Now, you know, that's when I had to learn boundaries. I had to set boundaries up on there. And, you know, this person did as well. And we're still friends. I mean, we're actually better friends now than we were on that aspect. So it's possible to grow with a person,
Sure.
but it's not always possible.
Mm-mm.
And that's really, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up too in this episode is to talk about some of those toxic friendships, because there are a point where people get fearful of just going, this is as good as it's going to get, or these are the people in my life and I'm stuck with them. And really, you're never stuck with an individual. You're not. So, I mean, it takes goals and, you know, actions on your half to make those choices, to be able to say enough's enough, or I'm not going to hang out with this person. And sometimes it might not feel polite, but it's your life. So,
Right.
you know, it's like, how do you want to live? You know, so
What's the point of having a friendship if you can't bear, like, a friendship is supposed to be your safe zone. You know, it's supposed to be a place where you can bare your soul without judgment. That's why you're friends with them. They're people that you're supposed to be able to trust and feel safe in their energy, and them feel safe in your energy, and just have this mad mutual respect. And it's rare that you see that anymore. Yeah. And and I hope that with the shift that we're going through collectively, that people start to appreciate true friendship again, and what it means to be authentic and vulnerable and intimate, and allow someone to really see inside of you. Because if there's anybody, it should be your friends. It should be those that are supposed to be there for you, and you're supposed to be there for them, you know?
Especially with, you know, and I don't like to bring it down to politics and what's going on nationwide right now, but it is so important to really be open to that, because guys, people have opinions right now that are being, you know, people are hurt, people are having emotions, and some people, the way they do it is through social media. Do I agree with everything that everybody's posting? Do I agree with how they're, you know, utilizing it with their emotions? No, I don't. But I'm also being very open to people expressing themselves and allowing that, you know, that space. And, you know, and you can see, and you can still observe people, but it doesn't necessarily mean you got to knock them down, or you have to accept that person as they are. Right. So, you know, if you choose not to listen to somebody or turn something off, then just do it, you know. But if you choose to be there for them and accept them and hear them out, then I highly suggest you do it, because you'll probably have some kind of growth spurt in there for you too, to hear, to listen to somebody. Listening is not, you know, it's not as easy as people think it is. It's really listening to what a person says and giving them that space, without jumping in on them.
Right. I mean, even I still have moments where Tanya will message me and I'm like zoned in, and the stream of consciousness starts coming through, and I have to filter myself, and I have to limit it, or not say anything at all, because that's what we're here for. We're here to listen to each other. And when we ask for each other's opinion, then we obviously get it. And if we don't like what they have to say, we don't fucking use it. Like, we don't like make it a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is when it comes to friendships, it's like you and I are like polar opposites in the spectrum of things, if we were to look, but it works. And we just don't judge each other. We're just like, yeah, this is how she is. And yep, that's how she is. And whatever, we just keep going. And that's the best kind. And so when you see that, like, I'm watching what you are, I'm seeing people that are just, they're putting something out there, and it definitely isn't going to be in alignment for me, but I can see where they are, and I can see themselves beginning to, their minds beginning to open, and for them to have wider perspective. And so they have to wobble through that and navigate through that. And it's not my place to say you can't do that, or that's not right. And so you just have to be kind to people, man. Just respect where they are. You know, it doesn't have to be if you go into right or wrong, then you're no better than what's happening in the world.
That's a really good take on it. Is like how important it is you to push something into somebody with that energy of where you're coming from and where you're getting
It
at. How
doesn't
is that
work because
real?
I've tried it. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
It just pushes them further away.
yeah, yeah. So allow that person to grow on their own time, and you it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be with that person. If they're
Right.
on their journey, then let them be on their journey and wish them well, and move on to the other path if you don't want to be anywhere near that. I
Right.
mean,
And that
that,
happens. That happens. And that's the
it's
thing that
totally normal.
I think people feel so guilty, like, oh my God, I've been friends with you since fifth grade. And here I am. I no longer resonate with you, but I feel this obligation. Don't do that to yourself. Like, you guys
Yeah.
have to honor yourself. And if it's just not working, maybe just take a break for a little while. Just be like, hey, I need a little space for a while, and just I need to sort some things out, or work on myself or whatever. And if that person can't respect that you need that time to grow and see if it's you or them, or whatever that dynamic is happening, then they're not really good friends with you anyway if they can't give you
Yeah.
that space. So,
Yeah.
just don't hold on. I held on to one relationship for a year longer than I should. And because that resentment was building underneath the surface, we got together. I flew out there and it just imploded. It just
Mm.
imploded
Yeah.
because I wouldn't let go, because I was so afraid. Oh my God, this is my one last friend. You know what I mean? I can't let go. And so this energy just built, built, built. And then when I went out there, I was supposed to be in her wedding. I was supposed to be
Oh,
her
yeah.
maid of honor. And I had already bought in the dress. I literally flew out there. I paid for her shower. I mean, all this. I paid for her bachelorette party. I'm talking a couple $1,000s in. And
Wow.
the night of her wedding shower that I threw her after the bachelorette party, it imploded. And then the 2 days later, it was supposed to be her wedding. I was not in her wedding. I that was the end. It was like, that was it. There was no communication. It was done. And
Wow.
that's how I am. It's like, when I'm done with you, I'm done. There is no going back. I've always been that way. It's just like, if you burn me, that's it. Like, there's no regaining my trust. And it's just the way
Yeah.
I don't just accept that about me. It's like, maybe I should forgive a little more, sure. But now I'm just like, you know what? I just don't have the time or energy to mess with this shit anymore.
I tell you, I wish to some aspect I was like that, where I could just say I'm done with it. But I always have this inkling of like, well, let me just give him another chance, or maybe it will get better, or like I said, I appease a lot, and that's something that I've learned to let go a lot of in the past. I would say now it's been almost 4 or 5 years during this whole thing, but I've definitely changed there. But if I don't like somebody from the start, which is more my aspect, it's really hard for me to like you at all. Like, there actually, one of my dearest friends, she's she's still my best friend, my Red, who I call her Red. She's got red hair, she's beautiful. Jessica, when I in high school, I did not like her. I did not like this. When I did my speech for her on her wedding, I talked about how I did not like her. I'm going to tell a story. So this is how I didn't like her. I was quiet. I was to myself, and I did not like attention. I was really good at being a chameleon. I was good at being friends and the loner with people who I wanted to do, and then sneaking out and being friends with other cliques. No one really knew me, but everybody kind of did, because I was that average person. I was that wallflower that can kind of just change, right? I had this great thing going. And then there was Jessica. And she was loud, and she loved and she always talked, and did everything like that, and she drew attention. And I was like, what? I don't like this attention. I don't like this attention. And what the funny part is she kept wanting to hang out and do stuff. And in college, she kept calling me on college. She called all the time. And I was like, why is this girl calling me? And the weirdest thing happened. I accepted it. And she turned out, I mean, to this day, her and I are like sisters now, but she was persistent on being a friend at all times. And let me tell you, she is still the most authentic person I have ever met. She's never changed her, in that level. She's the kindest person you'll meet, even though that she's loud. She sticks up for you. She will stick up for you. She's like, that kind of person. But I have found that I was basically not accepting myself. So
Yeah.
when I truly became comfortable with my own skin, and that happened more in college, I became less shy. I was open. I was talking. I became the loudmouth next to her. And my ex at the time used to always say, he's like, oh God, here they go. We got Jessica and Tanya together here. They're so freaking loud. They're going to be so obnoxious. They're going to be talking loud and blah, blah, blah. But we have the best, every time we're together, we have the best time. We have the best vacations. We like to call, we haven't been on one. I might actually have to hang up after this and be like, we need an absolute, we used to call them vagcations. I mean, girls only. But we used to have girl vacations. And they were the best. They were the best. We had the best of times. And I can tell you this much, we can always pick up where we left off. We do not have to call each other every day. We do not have to even like talk to each other, but we know and love each other in there. And that to me is a true friend.
Yeah.
If you can have that aspect where it's not like you feel like, oh my God, I didn't call them. They're going to get really upset that I didn't talk to them in 3 weeks. Like they're going to wonder what the hell's wrong with me, you know? So yeah, but I definitely wanted to bring that story up too, because there's definitely friendships like that where you might not realize they put you out of, you know what it is? They take you out of your comfort zone.
Right.
She was definitely one of those friends. She took me out of my comfort zone constantly.
See,
She
I was
was
the
daring,
exact opposite.
adventurous.
I was the exact opposite. If I met somebody who I instantly did not like, I instantly got like, bitch, I don't want to hang out with you. You know, that whole whatever attitude. And not so much recently, but in the beginning, it was always that. And so the 2 ride or dies that I had in San Diego, that's how it started. So one was I went to high school with this girl and it was her cousin. And I hated her cousin. I was like, "Blah, blah, blah." And then and then I ended up stop being friends with her cousin who was my friend. And her and I got super, super close. And same with the other one. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to hang out with her. And then something happens where it's like, I don't know, you drink too much or your guard gets broken down and you guys both just let each other in because when you come with strong women, sometimes there's this front of energy that you kind of got to get through. And that's how it used to be with me. And so anytime now when I meet somebody where I'm a little intimidated by them, I'm like, fuck, we're going to be best friends. It's coming. It will come because there's just that, it's like a standoff that I don't know how else to explain it.
Do you feel like you're an entirely different person from what you were before, or you've just grown, that there are still aspects of that person, but you've just grown? Or do you feel like a completely different person since you've been, gone through your awakening?
Well, this is what I'll tell you is when you start to go through your awakening, you get lost for a while. You get lost and you don't know who you are because before you were awake, you think you know who you are.
Yeah.
And then you go through this awakening and you start to go, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't feel right. I don't believe that anymore. I'm not sure I resonate with these people. And you kind of get lost. And for me, right around, so I woke up in 2012. In 2013, I moved away from all my friends, And so I spent most of my awakening alone, without a majority of them. I had a few of them, but like I said, they ended up, falling away. And it's not like I don't talk to the other people every now and then. I do, but it's always over Messenger or over Facebook post or something. Nobody ever, there's no reaching out and checking on people the way that it used to be.
Yeah.
But when I went through the heaviest part of my awakening, my emotional awakening, I changed completely. And I was that chameleon too. So I went from who I always was out there when I moved here, San Diego, right? Very diverse, very open. You can be the mom in the business suit with 6-inch heels, jamming too short out in the carpool, and nobody is going to question you. But you come to a one-stop sign town in the Southern Outer Banks, and you put on a pair of heels and you're bumping too short, you are going to be ostracized. And so eventually what happened to me is I started changing and trying to fit in to make friends, to have that. And so as I started to come out of that, and it's really only been probably the middle of last year, towards the end of last year, and really this year, where I've kind of come back into where I was before I woke up, and I came back to myself, and I'm back to who I was. I'm just more enlightened. That's it. I will still be bumping Too Short or Tupac in my car or my truck or whatever, but I'll also roll down and be like, namaste, like we're good, So you just go through these weird ebbs and flows, and it's normal. It's totally normal.
Did I ever tell you about how I paid someone to be my friend?
What? No.
So I'll tell you this. No, listen, you guys got to listen to the story. So this is what happened when I was younger. And this was years ago. I was probably 20. I think I was 21, about 21, 22. I had come from New York and moved back to New Jersey. And it was a big shift for me because I was moving from New York, where I felt independent and on my own, and I was a city slicker. And my roommate, she at the time had a really cool acoustic guitar. And she's like, Tanya, I want you to have this guitar. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a folk singer, and I'm going to move back to New Jersey and get a 9-to-5 job, and I'll see you. And so I did. And I moved back to New Jersey, and I had a hard time fitting back in. I had to move back in with my parents. I was living in with my dad and my stepmom at that time. I had to find a 9-to-5 job, and I had a guitar that I've never played. I've never played an instrument my entire life. Okay. And then I had some of my friends who were not there anymore because they moved on. They went to college. They moved out to different states. I didn't have a lot of people who were in New Jersey anymore. And here I was in New Jersey going, yay, I'm back in New Jersey, and what the hell am I doing? So I decided that I was going to take lessons, guitar lessons. And I had this really cool instructor. Her name was Christine, and she was awesome. And she just played music, and, she would teach me. And I had found out that through that whole process, I really was paying this girl to be my friend and this is how it happened. I went in there. I said, okay, she goes, this is what you need to do to learn. I said, all right. I wasn't paying attention. I could care less about it. She would start picking up a song and be like, ooh. I'm like, yo, Smashing Pumpkins. I said, oh, can you play Today? Ooh, do you like Cranberries? Can you play this? I was giving this girl, I was literally paying this girl every week to be my own personal show. And then she'd be like, Tanya, are you doing lessons? And then I realized at one point, I'm like, oh my God. I'm not paying this girl to take lessons. I'm paying her to be my friend. So anyway, it was a lesson that I learned. And now and you know what? Here's the funny part is during my whole divorce, one of my close friends was trying to get rid of the guitar. And I'm like, don't get rid of that guitar. That guitar has so many memories to me. So that one day I'll be a folk singer, even though I can't sing and I can't play. I still don't know how to learn. I still haven't taught myself guitar.
The closest thing I've ever come to that was when after I moved here and I left corporate, I was the year of hell for me. I was taking care of my dad who was dying and all this. There was so much going on. I needed companionship. I needed a community. I needed a reason to get out of bed every day. And so I joined network marketing, and I became a unique rep. And a lot of women, I feel, join network marketing companies, not because they want to make a business out of it. Like if you actually make money off a network marketing company and you become, you really build that base, that's fabulous. But most of them are doing it because they want friends. They want people that are going to have their back. But then when you leave network marketing, those fans, though, they don't come with you. They don't.
They don't.
They just want you to be a part of their team. But with me, I'll tell you is, I was actually lucky because out of it, I actually got people who watched me transition from becoming, network marketing and more of a business coach into the empowerment and the spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
And one of them, her name's Crystal, and we literally went to a convention in I think it was it Chicago? I think it was Chicago. We went to a convention, and we were there for 3 or 4 days, and every night after the 12 hours you're on your feet, I would go up to the hotel bar, and I just sat down next to her and started talking. And I'll tell you, it was fated for sure. And
Mhm.
to this day, her and I are still friends, and she was a client for a while and then we just became friends. And so I was lucky in that aspect. I actually walked away with a few really good friends, but I find that there's a ton of people who dive into things like that.
And then end up, right?
Yeah, and it's just for the connection. That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, speaking of which, I'm looking at our comments here. Hello, Vicky, Shannon, Linda. Thanks, guys, for
Hi
popping on.
guys.
I had a laugh because Vicky's on here, and Vicky and I met through another group. We took a workshop together, and her and I, became friends in that aspect. And we still supported each other. We love chit chatting. We have a lot of the same similarities in personality and so forth. But yeah, it's true. When you do stuff and you start even working on yourself or going every aspect. I'm listening to my cat sneeze, and I'm making sure he's okay. Like, what's going on over here? What's happening? What are you sneezing about? So yeah, you meet people in those things, and then you never know who you're going to meet out of there,
Right.
who becomes a close friend or, the close, what's interesting? Now that I'm backtracking here, because I was just thinking about the whole guitar thing, that's not very different from what I did with my awakening. Because when I started not realizing that I didn't have people around me, I did the same thing. I started doing things like I went to readers, or I decided to do Reiki, or I did things that were outside of my zone. And I realized I was talking to people there and being more of a friend than I was that aspect. So it is interesting how you grow.
Yeah.
In there. And I just realized that here on air, guys. Like, I was just like, wait a minute.
You're
Like,
watching a realization happen, folks.
I'm like, the epiphany moment just happens. This happens a lot with Johanna and I. We're like, wait a minute. What just happened?
Right.
Anybody have questions for us? Because we're getting here at the tail end, but we'd love to hear from you guys. Vicky says here, thank you for this topic. It really made me realize how blessed I am to have true friends in my life and how they have accepted and supported me through this awakening, even though I leaned back and am different in some ways now. So true in so many aspects with
And
that.
here's the thing, like, we're meant to grow and evolve. We're not meant to stay the same person. Like, at our core, there may be personality traits that don't necessarily go away, or just how you are, but we're meant to evolve and grow. And so people either grow with you or they don't. And it literally is that simple. You don't have to be forced to stay together, Tanya and I are ridiculously, like, I always tell her how much I appreciate her, because to have some, and like, she doesn't even have to respond to me half the time, because she'll know when I just am purging. I'm like, I gotta purge real quick. Hold on. It's like, you just feel that safety and that space, that, someone who holds space for you and just allows you to be who you are. And it's just, when you find that, you guys, don't let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those of you who are thinking about, maybe, and I don't want anyone feeling guilty in any
Right.
aspect, who they're friends with, or, they should appreciate them more on that level. But if there is somebody that you like, maybe this opened up your eyes to some aspect of the person that is reaching out to you, is connecting to you, how they make you feel, but also, is that something where they need something as well? Is it a notion of them just reaching out because they need somebody? So just be open-minded to it, and, utilize and be aware of it. Obviously I'm not saying, you have to drop everything for that person, but, sometimes people are just reaching out because they really enjoy you as a person. And, that's just what it is, and maybe that person, you might not value them at that aspect of this day and age, but you never know what's going to happen in your lifetime that person is going to be there for you. And that's
Right.
going to be like, wow, when did, this is why this person was in my life, because that has happened a lot of times for me. That was the biggest lesson that I learned in there, is that maybe it's not the sense of undervaluing a person, but really not appreciating in the level that I probably could have.
Right.
That when they were there with me, I was shocked.
Yeah.
And definitely a different aspect from what Johanna went through, or, some of the relationships on there. All right. So we have coming up next week, we have Lois Duncan on plant medicine. We're going to be talking about plant medicine.
I'm really excited about this one.
I'm excited for this too. I have so many questions, and I feel like we're probably going to need like a part 2, 3, and 4
Well, Tanya knows I have had the itch forever to do ayahuasca, and it
Yeah.
just not for any type of realization or connection, simply just to have the experience. I did the whole combo thing, so I'm like itching to talk to her and just really just talk about all the different stuff, and so I'm
Yes.
super excited.
Yes, we still want to do that. I still want to do a show on it. I still want us to be able to do on there. My only thing, and I said this to Johanna, is I forget which one we went to. We were looking at the retreats on there. There was a retreat where you can do it like as a group, or you can do it like separate, like with a
Ayahuasca?
close. Yes, you could do it with a group of people, or you could do it more with your close net. Like if you wanted something separate. And I said to you, I'm like, I have to do that because if I wake up spooning somebody that I don't know how I'm going to feel.
Well, it's the same place that the one that I want to go to is in Florida, and they have a church, and it's the one that Ryan Cropper went to.
Yeah, I do. I definitely want to check that one out. So, I forget the name of it though. We'll have to look it up.
Yep, I don't know. I have to look it up too.
Yeah. So anyway, we have her on board, and we do have a couple of other different guests coming on here. Guys, it's going to be a packed full summer, I would say, of different people coming on there. We might have to change the show time a couple of times because we do have some international guests. But most of the time it's going to be on 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think something that I would like to do, and I haven't even told this to Johanna yet, if we can't do, the live show, we might record it and do a premiere so that we can actually be chatting with you guys on live during the premiere. That might be something
that's an option.
Yeah, so that might be an option for us to do. We haven't done that before. I just kind of pulled that out of my ass tonight. Congratulations, you were there for
and
another
we can
epiphany
try
moment.
it. I mean, we tried. We tried the morning thing, and that didn't work.
Oh, that just didn't work because you and I turned out not to be morning people with
we're
other people.
Yep. What do you want? Why?
Well, we're here. I'm a morning person. I'm just not a morning people with other people. So
yes, I have a 3-hour self-care routine in the morning, y'all. I need time to become somebody to talk to. I need to move some energy first. Hold on, please. Let me make some space.
If you guys haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit the like button because that really helps our channel a lot. And we appreciate the love that you guys give. And don't forget to subscribe as well.
And share. If you enjoy our conversation and our energy, then spread the love, people. Spread the love.
We appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week. Take care.